Right. Yeah, I mean, make them clap to this when you hear that. I mean, I came in the door, said it before. I never let the mic magnetize me no more. Come on, man. That Kane, I love Kane. He ain't got nothing touching that. Eric B for president.
But if he's got Scoop and Scrap and he's performing the show, it's like you said, it's a draw because it's going to be different things that you're going to like from
exactly. Because here's the thing: at that particular time, Rakim has Eric B too, so he got him up there cutting up. He's cutting up, cutting and scratching. So he's got the crazy. He'll have the crowd involved. So it'll probably be a tie.
Yeah,
it'll probably be.
What do you think this would have done for hip hop though? Like if this had happened, how would that have? Win, lose, or let's say it's a draw, like we just said it was. So we don't have to go into a tangent of like if this person won, would have ended their career, et cetera, et cetera. If it was this draw and it was this thing, what do you think? Does Big Daddy Kane go pop faster? Does Rakim decide to become the hermit that he was for like 7 years?
I think for both of them, man, I think it propels both of them because something like that. Now, keep in mind, we didn't have the internet, so we would have to hear about it through word of mouth, or maybe, just maybe, by this time we have Rap City and Yo MTV Rap.
This 89, we just got Rap City.
We just got Rap City. Yo MTV Raps, I think, came out in 88 or 87, 88, I think. 88. So we would probably get a report about it on that show.
So we wouldn't have got to see it. You know what?
We wouldn't have been able to see it unless we were in New York. No,
I'm saying I'm talking about they're probably, and I guess if they did the pay-per-view thing, maybe people would actually have a tape of it. But if it was only a thing where you had to be there and it was just not a pay-per-view and it was just like you had to pay your $50 to get into Madison Square Garden to see this, we would just have heard about it. Right. Me and you being outsiders from New York just had heard about it.
Well, you know what? When I think back, 89, you know who the heavyweight champion was then, Mike Tyson. And all of his fights were on pay-per-view, and people were forking over, $25, $30 to see him knock people out. So I think if it were on pay-per-view, then it really changes the stratosphere for Rakim and Big Daddy Kane at that particular time. If it's something that just randomly happened at Madison Square Garden, that only the 20,000 people that showed up to see it, then nothing happens. But I think it probably
is the thing that
pay-per-view would definitely blown it up. And who knows, man? Maybe Kane don't go, the way that he goes. Maybe Rakim after that, he takes off a little bit more because of more exposure. But at that particular time, I mean, both were very heavily well respected in the streets and represented. And but it would have been good, man. It would have been good. I
think hip hop goes commercial faster if this happens.
It definitely helps.
It's successful and like they got 100,000 buys or something at $20. Like you said, it's $20 a pop. That's $2 million that somebody made on a rap pay-per-view.
And money talks.
What?
Money talks. Because
brands are like, why didn't I have my my Reebok brand on one of them boys? Or I didn't looked up and got somebody wearing my my rules out there. Snap! I'm getting all these kids now buying it because now kids. We only got to see an hour a day of rap period on TV, visualizing it before the box.
And that's what I mean by like
1 hour a day. So think about if it was a pay-per-view, it'd have been, and there's some kids that didn't get to see it at all. You gotta think if you're a kid in Idaho, you may not have had BET or MTV because that was
if you lived in Idaho, you didn't have BET.
I'm saying, but you may not have had MTV either. You may not have had MTV either, depending on your area.
Yep. Because I remember,
and I'm not saying they may not have known about it to do a pay-per-view, but what if this one? It's always one kid in your neighborhood that's putting people on.
That's it. And all it takes is now it's one person. My bad. All it takes is one person to record it. You know what I'm saying? And I think it would have been great, man. It would have been great. And like I said, we didn't get a chance to see a lot of stuff because stuff was just. But that doesn't mean the stuff wasn't happening because there were rap tours, there were Fresh Fests and stuff like that. So, that stuff was happening. This right here would have been dope. And who knows, man, if you have this type of concert. And the thing about it was gathering of rap fans at that particular time, the promoters were always worried about somebody getting into a fight or somebody getting killed. Yep. So the first thing that they would say is, oh, there was a rap concert last night and no injuries were reported. No one got hurt. Everybody left.
No, the first thing is they call Kid and Play. to get them on the bill.
Yeah,
because that's what they said. Chuck D used to do that. Like, we got to get Getting Played for this tour.
Hey, makes sense.
That makes sense. These venues.
Makes sense. That or Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. You know, somebody who wasn't as controversial. I mean, like, you would have to have an act like that before you brought out, you know, an NWA. So I think that could definitely have worked. And I mean, if you have that happen and there's no violence, who knows? Maybe it pops up around, you know, they start doing different ones, kind of like I guess that version of a versus back then in different cities, in different regions. Because even at that particular time, hip hop was still, or rap for that matter, was still regional, very heavily regional.
Now, I wonder if they saw that idea for this, and that's how they came up with verses. I've always thought that. Did they see this pay-per-view idea that never happened between Rakim and Kane, and was like, man, why don't we do that? Bring that back.
It versus worked very good for a short period of time, but it was ingenious because we were all stuck in the house.
Yep.
And this was the one time where we could see all of our, you know, favorite stars, and it was cool because we were all in one community. We were all on Instagram. I know people who didn't even have an Instagram account. They got an Instagram account just so they could either watch the verses or get down with what's my DJ's name from D-Nice.
D-Nice, yep.
Yeah. So everybody was doing that stuff. So it was the perfect timing. Now I know it fell off because once outside opened back up, you know, people weren't going to. I mean, because think about it, like Instagram would have a couple of 5 million people watching this event. You're not,
but them going to the app too, though. Them going to the Trilla app and making you go over to this other app.
Yeah,
some of them you had to pay for because I think the Onyx Cypress Hill one you had to pay for it.
Oh, I wasn't paying for that. I wasn't paying for that. I wasn't paying for SWV and Escape. I love SWV. I don't like Escape.
No, I don't think you didn't have to pay for that one. I think the only one you had to pay for, and that's when it was. I think that may have been technically the last verses.
And wasn't there supposed to be one with Puffy and somebody before all this stuff happened? Or was
Puffy and JD?
That would have been interesting. It would have been interesting.
And I think they missed the opportunity. If we're talking about a versus situation, they should have took this on tour though.
Oh, no question. No question.
As soon as outside opened back up, they needed to, because to me, they missed. I think the 3-6 Mafia Bone one was I think the pinnacle of it, where it was like at the height.
Mm-hmm.
You had to bring that to the South or the Midwest. To me, it shouldn't have been in LA. Because that crowd didn't know Memphis, right.
I forgot, man, until you just said something. I forgot it was in LA. Why they didn't film that in the South?
Yeah. And look, I'm being impartial here. And every person from here in St. Louis, if they'd have put it in St. Louis, it would have went crazy because we were one of the cities that had Memphis and Cleveland. Like, all that music was here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is, I mean, you'd have had, somebody might have got into a fight that night. Like, that's how crazy it would have been here. But it needed to be in the South. It needed to be in Atlanta, maybe. Even put it in Chicago, something like that, where it would have been more energy, you know. And I just think they made bad selections. It would have had that energy of the New York, the Locks, Dipset.
Oh man, listen, that one. And well, I wasn't so much worried about that one, but the Gucci Mane and Jeezy, I don't
think nobody was there for that one. I think that one was behind closed doors.
Yeah, that was at Magic City, but I'm just glad they both made it out of there alive because it was a lot of disrespect going on. I was like, yo, what are we doing here? He's about to.
I was like, that didn't sound like, it sounded like a good idea on paper, but then after you see it, like it did.
And it's like, soon as the cameras came on and Gucci started talking about the dude that got smoked and he was smoking on Pookie Loco, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, Lord, please let these gentlemen make it home safely. And see, the thing about it is the only saving grace is literally, you know this, D, from coming here. The only thing saving grace is the Atlanta Police Department is around the corner from Magic City. That's the only saving grace. Because they know they couldn't cut up. Because you know what I'm saying? The cops is, right there. But it was crazy.
If we're talking about this Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. Let's talk a little bit as we wrap up their careers after this 89. Like we talked a little bit before about Big Daddy Kane. Rakim somewhat goes in. After that one, they do drop Let the Rhythm Hit Them. Don't Sweat the Technique, which is a dope. I mean, the song itself is dope. but we don't hear from Rakim after 92. And that Don't Sweat the Technique album, I revisited it. It's got that and Know the Ledge on there. And Know the Ledge, I really attribute that to the Juice soundtrack more. Of course. And I just think it wasn't a good album. Cohesive.
Okay, thank you. Because I didn't like it either. I still don't like it. And there's no bigger fan of Eric B. and Rakim than me. I didn't like it. I think they were shooting for something, and you could kind of tell looking back now on their history, they were going through some things personally as far as them as a group. So looking back on it, it kind of sounds like they mailed it in. But Let the Rhythm Hit Them, I think that was 90, smash. They put together some great albums, I think. Those first probably 3 albums.
Yeah, and then after that,
and then after that,
only 4 albums, but the first 3 are fire.
Yeah, the first 3 are smokers. I mean, you got a classic and maybe some borderline classics depending on who you ask. And then Kane, after that whole Madonna thing, man, I think the Chocolate album might have been the last. Kane may have had albums after that.
Yeah, he did. But, you know what? Oh, we're forgetting something though. Kane did introduce us all to Jay-Z as well, though.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You gotta remember on what was the song Show and Prove on Show and Prove.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you gotta remember, and ODB is on that song. ODB, I believe, ODB, Shaheem, Jay-Z. And at the time, was trying to rap. One of them, Scoop R Scrap was trying to rap at the time. And they was on that song, I believe.
Okay.
Because he was the one, hand that, what's up? It was like a weird, I don't know what was going on with that one. But that one was on the album. I think that's on Daddy's Home, maybe? Yes, it's on Daddy's Home. And Scoop is on there. So Scoop, he's going by Scoop Lover.
Okay.
Show and Prove. So it's Sauce Money, Shaheem, Jay-Z, Old Dirty Bastard.
Wow. I'm looking at Kane's discography. Long Live the Kane. It's a Big Daddy thing. Taste of Chocolate. Okay, so Taste of Chocolate came out in 90. That was the last one I heard. Prince of Darkness, Looks Like a Job for Daddy's Home.
It wasn't that bad. I don't think.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad. I think after that I tapped out after that.
Yeah, I did. Oh man, yeah.
But now Eric B. and Rakim, I was with him the whole time. Paid in Full, Follow the Leader, Let the Rhythm Hit Him, Don't Sweat the Technique. Like I said, Don't Sweat the Technique wasn't that good to me. But Let the Rhythm Hit Him went gold, Follow the Leader went gold, and of course Paid in Full went platinum. So I think you got, arguably the greatest album of all time, and then Follow the Leader, which was a super, super dope album to come out in 88, one of the best albums in 88, the greatest year in hip hop. And then Let the Rhythm Hit Him in 90. And that was a very, very dope album too. And then after that is just, so I think if this thing happens, D, I think, who knows, man, maybe it's not that, because we're talking 89 and we're looking at it. So, technically Eric B. and Rakim do 2 more albums. Kane goes on from 89 to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more albums, but none of these albums charted. Like his last album to chart was It's a Big Daddy Thing, which went gold. So maybe, and when was the Madonna thing? Was that 89 or was that 90?
90, 91, somewhere.
Okay. So therein lies.
Justify My Love came out. It was around that time.
Around that time. So this is Taste of Chocolate, Prince of Darkness. Let's just say Prince of Darkness, which came out in 91. So that album kind of coincided with the fall off. So maybe, just maybe, if you have this concert, you have this battle, maybe it takes them up to another level, and maybe Eric B. and Rakim figure it out. I know that money was an issue between the two of them, and maybe they figure it out. Maybe Eric B. and Rakim stay together, because you can make a case that Rakim, really didn't make a really good album sonically. I mean, lyrics, he's always been on point, but some of the beats haven't been there in some of these albums that he's done post his time with Eric B. His last album was really good, I thought, but he lived a lot of different producers. We may never hear him and Eric B again together. Kane, you just never know.
I don't think so. What does Rakim need? I'm not saying
he doesn't. He does. I mean, but he just, on the last album he did it. He used different producers. Primo was on there. I think Primo did a couple of tracks. And it was dope. It was dope, and it was dope to hear him over dope production. I think those of us who live in nostalgia like I do, I would love to hear him and Eric be together again, but it's not gonna happen, and that's cool, you know. Because
it's 92 for the book. The book came out in 92.
Okay. So even then, you know, it was still good to see Eric B and Rakim touring together. So even if they weren't, you know, making any new music
together again.
I don't know if they, but I think this last tour that Rakim,
I thought it was a rumor about that.
This last tour that Rakim went on a couple of years ago, they were together, or at least they were together. I think they were together on some spot dates. I don't know if it was the whole tour, but it was some spot dates. But nonetheless, man, if this battle happens, who knows, man? I mean, maybe it propels, you know, rap into hip hop bigger than what it was, because, and maybe it inspires, you know, others to do something similar. Because, you know, we used to say Sparky D versus Shantae. They had a battle at one point in time. Who else was on the bill? You said
Cold Crush Brothers versus pull it back up. I believe it's the Cold Crush Brothers versus
Millie Mel.
Maybe
Furious 5.
I think that might be it. Hold on.
Okay. I don't think they ever
it was gonna be the Cold Crush. It was Furious 5 versus Cold Crush Brothers.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, Kool Moe Dee was in Furious 5. If I'm not mistaken. Yep. I mean, I'm sorry, Cold Crush. Cold Crush Brothers.
The Cold Crush Brothers.
So, and then you got Moe Dee versus.
What if DOC never got into that car accident? What if Ice Cube didn't leave NWA? What if the Game never leaves G Unit? What if Teddy Riley never moves to Virginia? What if we got that J. Cole and Kendrick album? What if the RZA would have never had that flood? How would the hip-hop world sound today? Welcome to Hip Hop What Ifs, the podcast where we dive into the biggest what could have beens in hip-hop history. From iconic album delays to game-changing partnerships that never happened. We reimagine the culture we love and explore its alternative paths. And you are now at Hip Hop What Ifs.